I always tell people you can choose to live in the light or you can choose to live in the darkness. And the light's a lot better place to be. I grew up in a military family. My father raised his family like he was still in the military. When I was a senior in high school, between my junior and senior year, I was working as a kid's photographer. It was a great summer job, except that one night I woke up with a knife to my throat, and I was brutally beaten, and I was raped. And I spent a week in the hospital. And that experience changed my life forever. When my dad picked me up from the hospital, he said, "You're just gonna man up, and we're never ever gonna talk about this again." Back then, there wasn't programs to deal with these types of issues. And so I couldn't process it. That led me to trying to figure out, okay, what do I want to do next? And this whole thing started with a goat. I went to this place called Trade Days, and they had a little goat, and it was in a cage, and the goat couldn't turn around in the cage. And I said to the guy, "Don't you have like a little pen or something that the goat can walk around in?" And he said, "Well, why don't you mind your own business? If you want to buy the goat, it's for sale." So here I am, I have a cane, now I have a goat, and I fold down the back seat of my Cadillac, and in goes the goat. I started saving some animals, and our old sheriff taught me everything I needed to know about animal cruelty and animal abuse and that sort of thing. There's a lot of data about the power of animals in mental health therapy. But do you know what there's not one piece of data on in the entire world? It's the power of abused and neglected animals in mental health therapy. We're the first in the world to compile it, validate it, and publish it.
The difference between an office alone counseling and animal assisted counseling out here is one, the environment. As soon as you come out here, you just kind of take a sigh, and so you're more comfortable and you're able to open up more because it's not as sterile as maybe a traditional office setting might feel. We know both from lots of research on animal assisted therapy and just from anecdotal evidence, people are more open with animals than they are with people, and they do that much more quickly.
I wanted to establish a program for veterans to honor my father. And the whole goal of that was to not only provide support and advice for other types of services for veterans, but then to hopefully get them into counseling.
One of the most difficult parts about being in the armed forces, especially when you're stationed overseas, is that you're away from your home, you're away from your family. And I really thought, no, it's time that I go into the next phase of life and actually get to spend some time with my wife. Early on, I was studying PTSD and really what that was, so I would be aware of it. If some of my younger members started to suffer from it, well, I didn't realize that before too long I would start showing those symptoms as well. I was starting to relive things in my brain and react certain ways. I realized, okay, that's what this is. I am starting to suffer from PTSD. I was getting in such a place mentally, I'm so down and so frustrated that one day I was driving home. I got to the point in life where I just didn't care to live anymore. I wouldn't say I was actively suicidal, but then I wasn't really wanting to live. And I saw a bus coming towards me, and I just thought, go ahead and kill me. I didn't get hit by the bus. As soon as the bus made it by me, I quickly realized, oh my goodness, I got to get some help.
In essence, the way PTSD works is you've had some life-threatening situation, you've had something traumatic that shattered your sense of safety and your ability to regulate your own internal mechanisms because you did whatever it took to survive that situation.
I got injured in a training accident, and I also was raped in the Marine Corps. By 2014, I was in a bad place and I was suicidal. Through counseling and things like that, I was able to, deal with that.
I think one of the reasons animals are so good for therapy is because you're not being judged. I used to joke that I love going to the barn because my horse didn't care what rank I was. And just knowing that he and I had that connection, I could let a lot of those frustrations and those angers and those emotions go that I knew that were being destructive.
I've always had a connection with animals since I was a little girl, and that grew a desire to help people through equine therapy. It's a symbiotic relationship. We need each other.
It always shocks me how they can be demeaned and treated so poorly yet they can learn to love again and trust again. There's something about these animals that have been through such severe trauma. They don't give up on you.
They're a prey animal, and how that means that they act around you. So you have to earn their trust and respect.
For every person who's been traumatized, no matter the trauma, that's what was violated. That's one of the most shattering aspects of trauma, is that your sense of safety in the world, your sense of your ability to make change or have control even over your own body in the world has been shattered.
Post-traumatic stress disorder can happen to just about anybody, and it need not necessarily be combat related. It can be a number of different things. I can explain it to people, but unless they've ever been through it, they're never really going to understand it. Are you ever actually over post-traumatic stress disorder? I don't know. You may deal with it for your whole life, but I know whenever I struggle with it, my horse is still here, and I can always come to him and just let myself go and find peace where I need it.
For me, it's hard to explain how beautiful it is to just be at that kind of peaceful moment. It's better shared than explained, because I feel like anybody should be able to have that opportunity.
It doesn't always have to be the way it's been. It can be different, it can be better, and you can live a happy, healthy life. Just knowing that that's achievable gives people hope, because it's not just about clearing out the traumatic event, it's about setting someone up for success long term.
Through all that pain, as you would call post-traumatic stress, that I went through, it didn't have to become a disorder. I didn't have to sit there and wallow in it, but instead you learn how to grow from it, and it becomes post-traumatic growth.
We're providing hope for animals and for people who've been through some of the worst experiences anyone can experience, and we're giving them an opportunity to live their best life free of that trauma.